Welcome to Planetarian. We're going to be looking at the entire miniseries today. For those of you who are new, I'm an anime outsider. That is, I am agnostic on the medium. It's just another way entertainment is presented. It's not something I look down on, but nothing I seek out either. In fact, I think the only anime I ever just decided to watch was about a girl reincarnated as a spider in a dungeon cave, only to learn that's like an entire genre or something. See, I don't know. I don't know the tropes or the inside jokes. If I'm ever confused, it's not me being snobbish or exaggerating. It's genuine befuddlement experienced by the outside looking in. I'm not here to judge. Okay, I suppose technically I am here to judge, but only because I was asked to. With that, let's get down to the miniseries.
The video's live.
1,263 people entered the contest, and that's the name that was chosen. Don't you think it's lovely?
RoboCop feels a lot different in Japan. Another thing is that I listen to the dub into English. It's easier on the editing, especially in this case. The subtitles, as we see them talk to the robot protagonist Yumemi, well, it tells me he says,
"Listen, Yumemi, we have to leave."
Yeah, even I know that he wasn't made by the robot that he made, though now I have AC/DC's Who Made Whom playing in my head. All the more of a contrast from the episode, which, I kid you not, is playing a semi-cheery acoustic version of the Christian hymn, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. This is a great example of the WTF I operate under, because I had no idea why this was in here, except the twisted morbidity of telling fleeing people, have you considered prayer as an answer to this bioweapons attack? Although, true story, after 9/11, someone made the mistake of calling my sister to ask for donations to support the local police department. She politely declined. But then they tried to guilt her with, don't you think at this uncertain time the best thing we can do is ensure they have the equipment they need? She immediately responded with, no, I think the best thing we can do is pray for them. Have you thought about what your Lord has done for you lately? Yeah, it's not just me. The whole family's like this. Well, if like me you're puzzled, the Japanese liked the melody of the hymn so much that they changed the lyrics to World of Stars, about, quote, stars, light, hope, and universal love. And it's taught in Japanese schools, so it playing here is sort of like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star playing. Everyone who is not me gets the point. Oh, I apologize if anyone is offended at this brazen example of cultural appropriation. Alright, so the gist of the situation is that everyone is being evacuated except Yumemi, and clearly not for good reasons. Though, when is it ever? No one evacuated Dunkirk because they wanted to put in new wallpaper. Time passes, and after the title card, the narrator describes this place as a sarcophagus city, a consequence of the war 30 years earlier when the city was hit with a germ bomb. Everyone's dead here, but the anti-personnel robots don't know the war is over and attack anyone who comes in, hence why this scavenger is running for his life. He's not given his name, just called the Junker. Not like a superhero code name, it's just his job. He's here looking for anything of value. Preserved food, medical supplies, weapons, specialized equipment, and sweet, sweet booze.
Anything useful or profitable. That was my job.
I'll get into that a little later. Right now he's checking this store, and Yumemi hears him make some noise. But she's not the kill-all-humans kind of robot.
And congratulations, you're our 2,500,000th customer.
I thought it looked like his lucky day. Actually, he's the 2,487,288th customer. But she's lonely and felt like rounding up. He is, after all, the first person to arrive in nearly 30 years. That's definitely worth fudging the numbers a little.
What the hell is that?
It's a bouquet. Please accept this as a token to commemorate your visit here.
Oh boy, this is looking more and more like the cutscene before you battle an insane android in a boss fight. He cuts to the chase and asks if she's broken, and the answer is, yes, oh god, yes. If she were any more on the fritz, she'd be named Fritz. So, what she wants is for him to take a seat and enjoy the show. It'll be starting in 7 minutes after all, which is just 3 plus butter away, Whiskey Banana. He finally agrees to watch the show as he concluded it is the only way to shut her up.
May I have your attention, please? It is my honor to welcome you to the rooftop planetarium of the Flower Crest department store.
Please do not make any jokes about the planet Uranus. She introduces Miss Yena, only for him to freak at a potential new arrival and threat, but turns out she just means the star projector that shows the night sky, which is broken. Yep, after all that pushing, she has no show to actually present. It's like Star Wars 1313 all over again. The Junker has a flashback to a conversation around the fire with another Junker who talked about how annoying Umami was when he visited. Though it's a dream, so it might have been his imagination making it up. He slept for damn near a whole day. Running for your life takes a lot out of you. And now there's only an hour of daylight left. So she thinks, hey, why not stay for the next show? Yes, she admits Miss Yena is still broken, but she's sure to be fixed any time now. Just like me, Monkey Bender Mint. Finally, just to get away, he takes her proffered coupons, leaving on the pretense he'll go shopping until the repairs are done. Which technically is true, considering no one is coming to fix it. Ah, he's a scavenger with a heart of gold. I just wonder which tomb he got it from. Let's go on to episode 2.
The whole thing started a few decades ago when a rogue nation launched a genetic bioweapon.
Just say North Korea. We all know you mean North Korea. They're the only ones that'll just flake out and fling a WMD at someone like a crazy guy in an alley tossing a cup of hot urine at a pedestrian. In response, a nuke was dropped on the offender to make their displeasure known. War broke out, millions died, and the space program died. Don't look at me, it was his point. The Junker is explaining all of this to Umami while he's working on fixing the star projector, but she's a bit, not built for thinking. She's not a chat GPT, not a Grok, not a Claude. She's more like the customer service AI your bank uses, to tell the truth. He thinks the problem is a burned out bulb, but she can't retrieve it, because from midnight to 9 a.m. she goes to sleep. So he does the same, dreaming of standing in the rain in a hazmat suit, which now that I say it aloud sounds like the title of some indie pic.
To be perfectly honest with you, I long to know what it's like to have them.
Most of them aren't worth longing for. Dreaming's kind of overrated.
Tell me about it. For every interesting one I have, I get about 200 meaningless, tedious ones. I console myself with the hope that it's because I exhaust my creativity during the day, so that when night comes, my brain is just like, oh, fuck you. Here's a dream of you sweeping up litter in a local museum. I'm not even making that one up. Umami explains it's just coincidence that the Junker is here when she's ready to do the show. With limited power, she's only able to come online for a single week out of the year. So he's lucked out. At least it sounds that way.
Yes, I don't mean to boast, but I have been programmed to make an incredible cup of tea. Or would you prefer a cup of freshly ground coffee?
Coffee, huh?
Dude, we can all see the punchline coming. Don't get your hopes up. He starts to catch on when he asks about alcohol, and she cheerfully tells him about the liquor store that he already saw was picked over. So he goes back to working on Miss Yena.
I would really like to know, what does it feel like when you're crying?
It feels like leaning your head against a cold toilet bowl while a distant voice shouts at you about something that you can't bother to think about. Why do you ask? Actually, crying feels like this.
I don't know. Pray it will be.
Okay, to which god do you recommend that I pray for help?
How about the Lord? For some reason, I keep hearing a song about what a privilege it is to carry everything to him in prayer. She figures maybe the Greek god of wine would be a good choice, given the Junker's love of alcohol. But he suggests maybe the god of robots would be better.
I have searched my database, and no information on a god of robots turns up.
There has to be. How many times have the engineer's prayer been uttered? Dear God, please let this thing work. Umami shares a hologram of when she asks the staff about if robots go to heaven, and oh yes, they assure her there is a robot heaven. And you can believe them, they work in retail. If there's no atheists in foxholes, there aren't even agnostics working on Black Friday. She has to power down for the night, but the next morning he thinks he has it working, which brings us to episode 3. She begins her full speech, and when he says she can skip the part he already heard, she will not wear that. So he humors her and lets her give the entire spiel. I mean, it's not like she's giving another one. The next person who arrives is likely to be another junker who brings her back for sale. For parts, I mean. Since she's gotten started anyway, pardon me if I go off on a tangent on that point I'd alluded to earlier. I was thinking on what a junker does. Scavenging is a common trope in post-apocalyptic worlds, raiding the old world to get stuff for the new one. The question is the ethics of it all. I mentioned this briefly when I was doing The Day After, when someone was tugging a ring off of a corpse's hand. The question is that grave robbing and desecrating the dead, or is that another way to survive? But generally we're talking about like raiding stores, for instance. So I thought I would get into that a little bit here because I was kind of rattling around in my head like a bead inside of a paint can, and it's good to let it out. See, we tend to think about, for example, a can of corn in a grocery store as being the store's property. So you could argue that when a scavenger takes a can from a store, they're stealing from the store. Don't jump ahead on me because I'm not going where you think I am with that. Because you see, the point I'm making is, in most cases, the ownership is actually debatable. The store has a number of suppliers and has lots of customers. A store is really a place that allows the two to come together. A bunch of different products from the suppliers in one place so that customers can gather there to purchase them. Stores in many, if not most cases, are middlemen. Important middlemen, as anyone familiar with food deserts can tell you. But what's usually happening is that the suppliers provide the stores the product before they pay for them, then invoicing them later for those goods. An invoice paid by selling those same goods to the customer. When a store is being run efficiently, it's not buying much at all. It's using the money the customers spend to pay the supplier, plus the employees, utilities, taxes, and themselves for their role in all of this. They're only really buying something if they don't sell it. They usually have to pay the supplier even if our can of corn didn't sell. So the store's owner is incentivized to make sure they accurately match their orders with customer demand. They're not just middlemen, they do have skin in the game. To be clear, because everything has to be paid for even if it isn't sold, stealing is still robbing from the store. Since the thief didn't pay, the store owner covers that non-sale out of their own pocket. The supplier is taking a risk assuming the store owner will cover the invoice, and the store owner takes the risk of not selling everything they order. If you saw my Rise and Fall of the Comic Empire series, then you know people with more enthusiasm than experience contributed to the implosion by ordering more comics than they could sell. Invoices would arrive that they couldn't pay. To be clear, of course, that differs from, say, an X-Men #1 that the comic shop owner buys off of a customer and sticks on the wall. In that case, they're betting ahead of time that they can sell it later for a higher price. That's different than what we're talking about. So bringing it back around to our topic, the junker. If society has collapsed, then the entire system is called into question. When zombies overrun civilization, the bank doesn't send repo men out to the campground where you're hiding because you didn't pay your car bill, or demand that you pay them in food and ammunition for your mortgage. There are no more laws. Of course, ethics and morality exist independent of the law. If you're a vegan, you don't need the law's permission or prescription to not eat animal products. So yes, you could rob someone if you want. The question is what you consider ethical. Now, for a lot of people, it's as simple as, it's the end of the world, I need this, nobody else is around, so I'm going to help myself. And I completely understand that point of view. Hell, I'd probably have it in that circumstance. What I'm trying to say, though, is that even beyond the immediacy of need thing, I'd argue if there is unclaimed property in a store when society has collapsed and someone takes it, then there is nothing ethically wrong with that act. The item is probably not the store's anyway. the store is responsible to pay a bill to a supplier, a bill which will never come and never be paid. What's more, if someone takes it with the intent of trading it with others, then they are effectively taking on the role of the shopkeeper, of matching goods with demands. Unless the person starts hoarding, then I'd say what they're doing is ethical. In fact, in our zombie apocalypse scenario, I'd go so far as to say they're doing a moral good. You're ensuring the continued distribution of needed goods despite the fall of civilization, and almost certainly at great personal risk. There's plenty more we can get into the weeds on, but I guess my point is that even beyond the no one's here who's going to care or finders keepers, so long as you're not cracking the owner over the head and taking everything, which the junker isn't, then I don't think you can consider any of it looting. They're ensuring, even without civilization, the continuation of the circulation of goods, which is the purpose of the store, the supply chain, and really, the whole of economics in the first place. Of course, to bring it back to my half-joking comment about Umami being brought back for parts, the scenario is likely going to be that she's without power or otherwise broken down. She's been without maintenance for 30 years after all. We have no idea how much of her flakiness is a consequence of that. The degree of her sapience is in question, of course. One has to imagine that, even without going offline, a truly self-aware being would likely go insane with nothing to do and no one to interact with. But it's probably on a sliding scale, too. A little bit of personality that is beyond function? Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, the show goes on as Umami shows us the sky, points out constellations, and shares the story of Andromeda. Essentially, the tale from Clash of the Titans. Royal parents royally screw up, gods take offense, release the Kraken! Andromeda has to be sacrificed to the monster, Perseus saves her on Pegasus with the head of Medusa, and there is much shagging. Well, the presentation is interrupted by a pop, and everything goes dark. An inspection confirms, it's the problem of poor electric service after the end of the world. The building was somehow still getting just a trickle to keep a few things going, but the presentation has sucked it dry, and it's doubtful anyone will come around and put it back. On the scale of Douglas Adams' wait for civilization to arrive that will invent the lemon-scented napkin, that would likely be a 6. But the junker says it's okay. She can just continue the presentation using just her voice. That'll be enough. The stars are nice, but it's her showmanship that is what gives the presentation its power. She lays it all out there.
But man has also given rise to a multitude of problems thanks to his insatiable desire to discover and achieve. Overpopulation.
Well, good news. Some of those are no longer problems.
And yet, I believe that there is still hope. Mankind has the ability to solve these problems, and I know he will.
Are you ever not genre savvy? She continues, does the whole thing, and he falls asleep in the end. In a good way, I mean, not in a, I had to sit through another homework Marvel TV show. I'm beat. Except, he's actually deceiving her. He's not really asleep. He's just deep in his own imagination and memories of life before the apocalypse, when you could actually still see the stars and not have this endless rain.
Books mention hope. What was hope?
Was it a country?
Possibly.
But all good things must come to an end, and the next morning, it's time for him to leave, and she still can't quite wrap her head around the situation. Or rather, she is through her own filtered way, because she's finally grokked that the lack of instructions means it's down to her discretion on what happens next. And with the place out of power and few customers willing to outrun killer robots to watch her non-existent show, she can leave. Temporarily. To escort him to his car.
Are you crazy?
No, not crazy, just a bit broken.
I've said that way too many mornings. Time to head on to episode 4.
Why isn't there anyone out here today?
Yeah, the apocalypse has had a serious impact on foot traffic. If they're careful, they should be able to avoid the anti-personnel robots for the 3-kilometer trip to... This is like trying to traverse a minefield in clown shoes. It's further hampered by her need to point to noteworthy local places to visit, having trouble remembering that the end times will not be catered. What's worse is that she needs to keep taking breaks on account of a power pack overheating and needing to cool down, so that in an hour they've managed to travel 1.1 kilometers, or as they call it in Shanghai, the morning commute. As they chat, she asks what a junker is, so he tries to fit it into her head by saying he collects garbage.
Garbage collection is a very noble vocation. Just so you know, my design was specifically engineered to be 100% recyclable.
Mine too, I suppose. Or would I just be considered biodegradable? He finally gets her to give him the bouquet so that she won't need to handle the extra weight.
I made it especially for you. Thank you for accepting it.
Sure. I am a garbage collector after all.
On a similar topic, a shot-up building draws attention. Likely another junker was here. Umemi still doesn't quite get that there are no authorities to report this to anymore, but at least it's a liquor store, and that means a small chance that it has booze. Could have more to show for this trip than a handful of broken electronics wrapped in paper. But when he spots one, he has a flashback to... A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So the junker wonders if this is a booby trap of some kind.
Yet.
Here you go.
And here's the boob, right on time. Fortunately, it's just good luck that it's here, and it's a well-aged scotch. Goes down smooth. Well, goes down anyway. Speaking of which...
It's dangerous.
Maybe I underestimated her and she did go insane. He's wondering how she put up with being cooped up all the time, but she's just super content with the planetarium. In fact, her prayer to the god of robots is to not divide heaven, but to let robots go to the same place as humans, because joy for her is being of service. She does, after all, know the answer to the meaning of life, why she is here, and what is her role in the grand scheme.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
She's content because she has a purpose, and that makes it her identity. The junker has grown attached to the little klutz and wants to bring her with him so she can continue sharing the night sky with those who never saw it because of the rain. But he's not sure if that's the whiskey talking. It can wait. Right now we have to deal with the giant robot.
Also, is that giant machine over there a new kind of construction robot?
Not exactly. It's called a fiddler crab.
Well, that's a name that certainly helps convey the sheer danger that it represents. Well, this is the moment of truth. He's got to deal with the robot, and he needs to know if she's going to come with him. It's not easy to get through to her that the world she was built for is no more, that no one is coming to watch the show, and there's no power to put it on even if they did. But she's still waiting for those lemon-scented napkins to be created. He says that if she truly wants to serve, she can only do it by following him out of the city. But she needs time to try to process all that. Well, she can spend it while he's out hunting the fiddler crab. He tells her to stay put and not say a word, which I'm betting is like asking a small child to sit still. The junker takes up a spot in a high window to shoot at the robot. A perfect hit. Oh, bloody hell. Man, that is the fuck you in the face cannon. Well, that just leaves one final episode. Let's take a look. That celebratory firework has misfired. I should contact the fire brigade. Shockingly, the junker survived. But that's still not a great situation to be in. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. And now his impression is going to be straight into a concrete wall. He's got only 2 rounds left, hopefully ones that will actually do some damage this time. But first he has to survive its assault. Right now it's in its anti-personnel mode, since it has to lock down for the FYITF cannon. That gives him a chance at least. Yes! No! His shelter is blown away. Literally, it's blasted off to who knows where, and his leg is pinned under rubble. Probably broken. Ironic considering he took out one of the fiddler crab's legs. Well, who should show up now but Umemi? Yep, this is baby's day out all right. Though she may, on some level, have understood the situation, because her presence draws the robot's attention, leaving the junker free to hit it once more, but not before she takes a few high-caliber rounds, leaving little left below the waist. Naturally, he's upset over her body being ripped apart like this from the Killbot's attack, but from the sound of it, she was attempting to shut down a renegade unit, unaware that annihilating people falls under working as intended. But she was just doing what she believed she needed to do, which is to protect humans. It is the nature of robots to care for the needs of humans, she explains, which can raise all kinds of ethical questions. Should it be made fundamental to a being that they care for our needs? I don't mean in the sense of the 3 laws of robotics, but rather fundamental to their thinking and actions, that it would be contra to their nature, that we make it so they cannot help but put our needs before their own. But to flip it, we didn't make Umemi a box on wheels with a speaker system, but in a form like our own, so that our human tendency towards anthropomorphism imbued her with elements of humanity when we interact with her. The mere fact we're inclined to say her, for one, the fact that someone in a post-apocalyptic world here to survive has invested time and effort in helping her fulfill her purpose, who wanted to rescue her from this, who is distraught at seeing her damaged and heartbroken that her spark is about to go out forever. Her human form and caring words hits all the right switches and algorithms for emotion to overrule reason and hold her as something more than a machine. The robot has not been chained to us. We have been bound together. A human caring, even crying, for our creation passing away falls under working as intended. She asks that he take the card behind her ear that has the sum total of all she is, and he promises that there is a new store with Miss Yina and all her old friends waiting for her. He puts it in a waterproof case and wears it in place of his pendant. And after the credits are over...
Are you a junker too? No, I'm not. I'm a star teller.
Planetarian is a wonderful miniseries that lives in a space that I prefer, honest optimism. It did not shy away from ugliness, didn't downplay tragedy, didn't let convenience get in the way of the rational. It starts from a place that says we cannot hope to save the world if we do not acknowledge how things actually are. But then takes it to, but that is no reason for cynicism or nihilism. It's not enough simply to be alive. You can only run on the wheel of survival for so long before the question of why you should bother to keep running demands answering. And the answer Planetarian offers is in the stars. The stars that are hidden beyond the clouds, the stars that you can no longer see but can have faith are still there beyond the veil of what your eyes can tell you. That the gray rain that you see is not all that there is and will be, but that what was there before is waiting for the moment when it can be with us again. Even the stars change, as the trip to the night sky of the future showed. But change is the way of all things. For the junker, the first change is within, to let him see through Umemi's eyes. And he found a better world through them than his own. The future isn't written in the stars, though. The future is a choice.